That was Johnny Hodges playing All of Me. Johnny, as everyone whose experience in jazz goes deeper than just what is most current or most recent, is the most influential alto saxophonist of his generation. Everyone has attempted to imitate him. No one can get that sound or that technique. It's a rather happy circumstance that someone in the position that Norman Granz is in has taken advantage of his position to do something about Norman's feeling about Johnny Hodges' playing. He's spoken with much praise of Johnny's playing for many, many years, and now that he's done so well financially on the Jazz at the Philharmonic concerts, he's in a position to make a lot more records for Johnny than Johnny had been making previously. Am I putting it right, Johnny?
That's right.
Norman Granz is a man with very strong tastes, and I would say that anyone whose qualifications are such to meet those tastes is in a fortunate position that there's someone who has the backing that Norman has. How many sides have you been putting out? How many sides do you figure you put out for Norman Granz?
Oh, I'll say about, offhand, about 80.
80 numbers is one. Have they all been released?
I think so.
Yeah.
Might be a little more than 80.
He did an interesting thing when he got some of the older men, by the older men I mean the men who previously were with Ellington, along with you, Johnny.
Well, that's been his ambition for a long time, to try to get as many as he could, put them all together at one time, so he's had about 6 of us together.
A good many of the former Ellingtonians and then All of Me, weren't there?
Well, yeah, we had Harry Carney and Jimmy Hamilton, Belson, Lawrence Brown, Harold Baker, and myself.
That's a pretty good lineup.
And we had Bud Powell's brother on that day playing piano, Richard Powell.
Richie's getting a lot of talk, isn't he?
Oh, he's coming on now.
Yeah. I see that you don't feel any compulsion to keep people working with you who have worked with Duke.
No. All right with me. Everything's all right with me.
Yeah. Well, not only having established a style and looked far ahead in your own playing, Johnny, I know that...
Well, it's kind of hard for me to change now, you know. Say, since we've been away from Duke and we attempt to create a different style. We have so many different requests for the old numbers we used to play with Duke, such as Warm Valley and Sophisticated Lady, Mood Indigo, A-Train, Things Ain't What They Used to Be, Passion Flower. So you just keep right back in the same groove.
Well, there's no requirement for changing the style. When a man has established himself...
I don't think we could change if we had a request to play, you know, like A-Train, if we could change it any bit than the way we originally started playing while we were Duke.
You mean the style or you mean the notes?
We couldn't even change, you know. Automatically, the fingers would go right on the same keys we've been playing for years.
Yeah?
That's the way it is with Sunny Side of the Street. I've been trying to change that chord since 1937. Can't be done.
Well, I would call it perfectly legitimate that a man who created something brand new should take it out of the area of momentary improvisation and make it almost like a classic, that those are the proper notes to be played on it.
Well, I've noticed that with Lawrence Brown, as long as he's been playing the Sheik of Araby, many a time he tried to change it. And at times when we used to go out and play Sunny Side of the Street, he said, gee, we're going to change this. I have it all set, ready to change, and as soon as I go there, automatically right back.
Well, perhaps those are the best notes you could have played, so why change them?
Well, I don't know. Probably, you know, how you get tired of the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
People say, gee, again?
Yeah.
That's the way it seems to me, you know.
Well, it may seem that way to you. I mean, the guys working with you say again?
No, they don't say it, but I would just have that feeling.
Well, not to contradict you, Johnny, but I think that feeling is limited pretty much to yourself because, as you know, even when you have played something that, an arrangement or a chorus that you haven't stayed with, if it's something you recorded and your solo is pretty well defined on the record, when you go out and play it in front of an audience, they resent it if you play something else.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
So no one's going to say what again. I think they're rather happy to be hearing in person the same note you put on the record.
Well, I mean, you know, that's the way it goes with me. I feel that way anyhow.
Yeah. Art Tatum's done that for a long time. It seems to me that Art must plan his whole thing in advance, and in spite of all those thousands of notes that he plays in one number, he plays
so many different ways. I don't see how he could plan anything. Just, you know, he has so many different versions of play at different courses. I listened to him. Last time I heard him was out in California. And just listened and tried to catch something, and hear him the next time. There's so much going on, he couldn't remember nothing.
Well, let's say that he is capable because at times he has played an arrangement note for note.
Yeah?
Fabulous memory there. In fact,
That's a great one.
I heard a fascinating story about Art Tatum, which unfortunately he says is not true, but it still sounds like a good story. But the reason he was able to play like there were four hands playing, which is the way he sounds sometimes, is that when he was a kid first getting interested in playing the piano, he would listen to the piano rolls, you know, playing on the player piano, and would try to imitate the notes that were being played on the player piano through this piano roll. And he would work pretty hard at it, and he never did find out that it was a two-piano team that cut the roll, you know. I mean, it's a good story, but he says it wasn't true. It still fits. Well, Johnny, among the youngsters around today, which of them, from your perspective, shows the most promise? I know we were talking about Stan Getz the other night, and you had nice words to say about him.
Well, it's quite a few. I'm hard on names, you know, see. But hard to say.
Well, then let's put it around the other way. Let's say that among the older men, which of them do you feel has stood the test of years better than others?
Well, I think Coleman Hawkins has stood up long. Such as, well, I wouldn't call Ben Webster old man, you know.
No.
But he's been going, and the prayers.
Yeah.
Well, that's one he stands out.
I know Stan Getz.
I think he gets better and better, see?
Yeah.
But see, like Stan, now I listened to him quite a while ago, and I was surprised, you know.
Getz?
Yeah. He's terrific.
He's a tremendous musician. He made the comment a couple of weeks ago when he was about to appear on this show with Basie and with Prez that he was a little scared to get on the same stand with Prez, because after all, that was his earliest real inspiration.
Yeah, I understand. I know how he felt, but I was surprised that, you know, you hear a lot about him and hear some records, but he only had 3 minutes to do on a record. But you catch him at a time, and he's got a lot of time to jam, or, you know, one of the jam things is terrific. It's like the first time I heard Jerry Mulligan. He just had a limited time. And I caught him at Birdland in one of those jam sessions.
Yeah.
I was surprised, you know.
Well, the best musicians in each era have a lot to contribute to our American music. Where would you say your inspiration stemmed from when you began to play your style?
When I first started,
Yeah.
my inspiration was from saxophone and a trumpet.
Any particular saxophonist or trumpeter?
Yes, there was Sidney Bechet
Mm-hmm.
and Louis Armstrong. See, I used to like both of these fellas, and they used to make records together years ago, see, and I used to compare them, you know, put them both together, see, and then put my little ideas in between, see. And then later on in years, I had an opportunity to play with Bechet. So he would teach me a lot of things, you know. He was getting ready to go to England, and he had this show at one of the little cabarets in New York. I forget the name of it. Yes, they did name it Club Bechet.
Yeah.
And he was going to leave, and he had to teach me everything, you know. So that's how I became to play soprano saxophone.
You don't play much soprano anymore, do
No,
you?
not much.
Makes an awful pretty sound.
I just got my son a soprano, see. I'm schooling him on soprano.
Oh, yeah.
See.
I know Woody Herman, who can sound an awful lot like Hodges sometimes, made the comment that if it hadn't been for Frankie Trumbauer, a lot of the people around today would never have been what they are. Do you go along with that?
Well, yeah, I think so. Because, like I said at first, there wasn't very many saxophone players to interest me then. You know, that's why I picked out Bache and Louis to make up a style. And then later on, and Frankie Trumbo come on with his style, and then Jimmy Dorsey was kicking up a fuss then too, you know.
Yeah.
So I used to put them all together and listen.
Just out of curiosity, what does Charlie Parker do to you?
Charlie Parker?
Yeah.
Well,
It's one of those real blunt
yeah,
conversations.
I like to hear him play his style. You know.
Yeah. I know when Ellington did a show with me one morning, it was a 2-hour program, and first I picked an hour of records of people playing Ellington tunes, and then an hour of Duke's own records. And he announced a record which I had selected for him that he hadn't heard before, and it was Woody's record, If I Got a Bad Night, It Ain't Good. And I told him in advance that Woody played an alto very much like you. And he made that comment. Here's Woody Herman sounding very much like Johnny Hodges on alto, I Got a Bad Night, It Ain't Good. And Woody went into the first 4, and Duke turned to me and said, "You sure that's not Johnny?" So that raises a good question. Of the people whom you must recognize as having been influenced by your playing, who do you think makes it best?
No, let me see. I think, well, I don't know.
What about Les Robinson? Or?
Well, yeah, well, I'll hear some records now, but I can't tell who.
Oh, yeah. You haven't paid that much attention to the labels.
No, I don't pay much attention to the labels of here, but tell you I'm way behind in names.
Yeah. Do you keep up much with things that are being recorded, Johnny, or?
Not very much, you know, because we get on and go so much. And just like I said, we're trying to create a style, but they keep us right in that same groove.
Well, I guess there isn't.
As long as it's doing all right, I just want to stay that way.
Yeah,
you know,
there isn't that time, I guess, to sit down and listen to records. I
the
think
way we keep moving around.
Yeah, I think too, but a lot of people don't realize that whereas music may be your number one interest in life, it isn't your only interest in life, and when you get off the stand, it doesn't mean that all you want to do is sit down and listen to records.
That's right.
They figure that musicians are human
Well,
beings.
I know they all, a lot of people, like I was in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, and I only had 20 minutes break. And every 20 minutes I had off, it was music. You know, somebody wanted it, so I had to sit down and explain this and explain that. So.
Oh, yeah, the conversation.
Uh-huh.
Well, I can change this topic if you like.
No. I mean, it's in intermission time, that's all. Man.
Well,
but you got to do it anyhow.
Yeah, to talk about music, the thing that I think I was most impressed with when I made that trip with you and Duke about 4 or 5 years ago was the guys getting off the stand and about 2 a.m. hopping onto a bus and riding all night in a pretty hard seat that really didn't adjust too well to your physical conformation, and maybe arriving just in time the very next evening, hundreds of miles away, to get up on the stand.
And it seems as though that's when you play your best.
Honest?
That's right.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Is it a feeling of, well, who cares, here we are again?
No, I don't know. We used to sometimes, when we was at the Cotton Club years ago, we were in Ziegfeld, Showgirl, and we were making the picture Black and Tan Fantasy.
Yeah.
And doing the Cotton Club show, getting through at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, getting up early the next morning to finish the picture.
Yeah.
But at night, we were really going.
Yeah. It's a funny bit. I should think that it might be the other way around. It might lower your efficiency.
Well, of course, we were young boys then, you know.
Yeah. You're not telling your age now?
My age?
Yeah.
No, I'm not old.
Oh, in that case, you have no problem telling your age.
I'm 15 years younger than Duke.
Well, I can figure that one out, but maybe Duke wouldn't want me to. Well, suppose we play one more before winding up our conversation, Johnny.
All right.
How about Johnny Hodges and Tenderly? That was Johnny Hodges, alto sax. That was Johnny Hodges, alto sax, and Tenderly. And, I wish that song had been around about 1940.
Which was that, Tenderly?
Yeah. It's one of those real beautiful songs which sounds as though it should have been around longer than it has been.
Well, isn't it kind of old?
I don't know how old it is, but let's say that it wasn't as popular.
No.
Back at the...
I didn't know that myself, you know.
Know what?
That Tenderly was a real old number.
Well, it seems to me it wasn't until about the middle 40s that people started saying, what's that gorgeous song?
It was originally a waltz, wasn't it?
Possible. I guess
that's what I heard. It was a waltz first.
It was just about the middle 40s that people began paying attention to it, though.
I wish I had it.
Yeah. At that time?
Right now.
Oh, what do you mean?
I wish I owned it.
Oh, wish you owned the song, yeah. There's some other beautiful things that have been coming out that have been around for years that all of a sudden people are beginning to pay attention to. A lot of Rodgers and Hart tunes. Have you noticed, like Funny Valentine, Never Entered My Mind, Little Girl Blue? Those songs have been there for so many years, and all at once, all the musicians are beginning to play them.
I don't know, but some of the real old ones are real good, come back again.
Is there a particular program that you would play if you felt that you had an audience in front of you that that would accept anything you played, and it was entirely up to you. I know that you pretty much plan your own sets as you like anyhow, but still, you have to make certain concessions.
Well, every time we go to Toronto, we can do that. Anything we play.
What do you play then?
Oh, well, for instance, they're all Duke lovers up there, too, you know, because they've been on it for years. So they think that we should be able to play all the numbers that Duke plays.
Yeah.
So they send a list of requests for different things, you know, probably some numbers I can't remember.
Yeah.
Back it's 20-some years, you know, so we play as many as we can. And they don't mind if we just try to pick it out, you know, and get lost sometimes, but they accept it right on. See? So anything we play up there, they appreciate it.
The thing that always fascinated me, one of the many things that fascinated me about you and the men who were with Ellington for so many years was first the fact that no matter how varied the evening got, no repetition at all. You never had to. It seemed like you never had to read any music at all.
Well, that's because during the time when you was with us on the road, did we have any rehearsals? Night rehearsals? You remember?
No, as I recall, you didn't have one.
Well, for instance, we were playing the theater here, like the Howard Theater, and our last show was, say, like, he'd call rehearsal at 12 o'clock after the picture come off, and we'd probably rehearse some number of his, the brand new arrangement. Nobody had seen it. Nobody knows nothing about it.
Yeah.
And he would rehearse it probably until 3 o'clock that morning. Well, the first show, you would know it, but he's going to play that.
Yeah.
And you'd probably have a solo, and you'd have to step out front, you'd have to play your solo, and then memorize your part to get back.
Yeah.
So to keep from being embarrassed, you'd learn that arrangement as quick as you could.
Yeah.
That's the reason why nobody hardly ever uses any music.
Yeah. And there's another thing. Now is that Duke would go into a rhythm introduction, piano rhythm section, introduction to something which, to my ear, had no connection at all with the thing that was going to follow, and yet at the right moment everybody came in at the same time and everyone was playing the same song.
Well,
what was the system there? What was the cue that you got?
He had different little stuff. Gets back to the same thing I told you before. You automatically do something you've been doing a period of years and you can't change. He's got little introductions on different numbers.
Yeah.
Then he probably will play something to enjoy himself, you know. He'll have to play about 2 choruses of some other number, and then go into the introduction.
Yeah.
See? So we just wait until he gets that cue, that regular introduction. So. But most all of his numbers are piano introductions.
Yeah. Well, you've been happy leading a group of your own, haven't you, Johnny?
Well, up and down.
Yeah?
Up and down. I can't say it's easy. I wouldn't say it's easy.
Different responsibility from playing in a section, isn't it?
I can say now that I know the responsibility that Duke has, which I didn't know before.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks it's a bed of roses when you see him stand up there, but he's got, I only have 6. 6 headaches. And look at the headaches he has.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to be a public relations man. He's got to be an MC, composer, arranger, conductor, businessman, and diplomat within the band, huh?
And a father.
And a father, yeah, I guess
Father
so.
to all of them.
Yeah. Do you ever get eyes to go back with Ellington?
No, I haven't mentioned that. I mean, a lot of people ask me that same thing.
That's why I asked.
And
if a lot of people have asked that, then a lot of people listening might be
they
interested.
have had different write-ups in magazines about it, you know. So most of the people think that we mad at each other for something, but it was nothing like that because we talked about this thing years ago.
Yeah.
In fact, I tried it in 1948 when he went to Europe, see? And while he was in Europe in 1951, he wanted me to take the band with Strayhorn and keep about 8 and 9.
Yeah.
Because he had some picture work to do over there.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do it then. So there was a rumor that he was going to retire. He was going back to Europe for this picture. And then I'm still with it for about a year or so. So I decided to do it, see. With the influence of a couple of guys, urged me on to do this, so I tried it. See. But it's all right.
Yeah.
Better days to come yet.
Yeah, I know you're a lot different in front of the microphone now than you were 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, you should have seen me the first time.
You recall an interview we did one morning about 5 or 6 years ago, and I think all I got of you was a yeah and a no.
Well, I don't know. Things change.
Yeah.
I remember a time when Dick used to say, "Ah, wow."
Yeah.
I remember the first theater we played was Proctor's 86th Street in New York. They used to have a fellow dance across the stage. The next number would be such and such a number. But you wouldn't believe that now.
No, not the way Duke takes over.
Mm-mm.
Well, Johnny, it's nice not only reminiscing with you, but talking about the present and looking a little bit toward the future, too. At the present, Johnny Hodges and his orchestra appearing in person at Olivia Davis's Patio Lounge, 711 13th Street Northwest. Everyone is always welcome. They play until 2 o'clock every night. Tonight there's $1 admission and a $2 minimum at the table if it's been like previous weeks. And then there's a special Saturday matinee from 3 until 6 where the admission is $1 and there is no minimum. So it's my recommendation that you do as I've been doing and take advantage of this rare opportunity to hear a man who has as much influence on music as any musician today. Johnny Hodges, who created a style that, as I said earlier, many people have attempted to imitate, but none could ever equal. To hear a group that plays not only the languorous things like Tenderly and Warm Valley and Prelude to a Kiss and the other beautiful things that Johnny plays, but such romping things as there's What Time's a-Wastin' and In a Mellow Tone and Castle Rock. And there's a little thing that you do that seems to be based a little bit on C-Jam blues, and I think Mercer wrote it. What is it?
The thing we go off with?
Yeah, what is that?
We have no name for that yet.
No name. Okay. Anyway, it's a beautifully balanced evening, full of excitement and full of what Duke used to call pastel music. So don't miss this rare opportunity to catch Johnny Hodges and his orchestra in person tonight through Saturday night and a Saturday matinee at 3 o'clock. Olivia Davis's 711 13th Street Northwest. There's free parking at the Federal Garage next door after 7 o'clock. Johnny, you want to give a... I was surprised to see Hank Jones playing piano with you, and you ought to mention the other fine musicians who are working in the Hodges group now.
Yeah, we have Hank Jones piano and Harold Baker on trumpet, and John Williams bass, and Arthur Clark tenor, and Solomon Hall on drums. You should catch him.
Yeah, well,
He's a very funny fella.
Been doing that. Well, this is pretty much the way the group is going to be, isn't it?
Yes.
I understand Lawrence...
Lawrence is...
ailing?
Ailing, you know.
Well, I'm sorry that the Lawrence Brown sound is not in the group this week, but we wish him a speedy recovery.
I hope so.
Johnny Hodges, one of the all-time greats in not only American but the music of the world. And here he is with an excerpt from his album Memories of Ellington, In a Mellow Tone.